What is going on, everyone? It is James, aka the Comic Raider, and we are back. Weekly reads, man. I know I took a couple weeks off. I assure you, for those who know me, don't jump to conclusions. It was not just due to pure laziness. The new school semester has started back up, and so it's taken me a little bit to get used to that schedule and that workload and balancing work and school and family and all that kind of stuff. So the last 2 weeks prior, I just literally have not read any comic books. So I needed to get back on that. So I did this week. And so I'll be honest, we're going to do with weekly reads. I pretty much read all these yesterday and today. So, but hey, and then hopefully again, I'll be able to read some throughout the week. If not, I'll spend the weekend next weekend reading and then do it again. And I'll post these super late night West Coast videos because football's on during the day and I just simply am not going to record this during football. So Raiders got to win. Let's go, baby. Raider Nation. And then fantasy football is looking good for me this week too. But anyways, that's all besides the point. Let's get into some books here. So a lot of them I don't have on me. I only have like a couple here on me because I have not gone to my LCS to pick them up yet. So I read them online. So we're going to kind of go over a lot of them online without me showing them off. So let's go ahead and I'll be honest. This is going to be very Marvel heavy again. I am fully aware that I am dipping heavy into Marvel right now. And I 1000% want to change that. It's definitely going to be getting into like the rest of the Spawn universe. I'm pretty much caught up on Spawn, but the rest of the books, I want to do all those. There's definitely a lot of Image titles that I want to catch up on. And then as far as DC, I think the only thing I'm really pulling from DC is basically Batman and Detective Comics, which I just have not been able to get into yet. I don't know if they're on a good jumping on point right now. I guess let me know in the comments if they are. And then, so it's going to be Marvel heavy still just because, it feels like I just can't catch up, right? Like I caught up on my last video and then I stopped reading for 2 weeks and I'm like, okay, well if I spend this weekend jumping into DC or jumping into Image, well now I'm gonna fall behind on Marvel, and I really like that I'm caught up at least on something, and right now that is just Marvel, and I'm gonna work on catching up on the other publishers, but right now it's Marvel, and we're gonna look to change that. Like I said, I'm gonna try to make a real effort to get some reading done this week. But anyways, blah blah blah. Now let's get into it. We're gonna start with Ultimate Universe still. So we have Ultimates number 4. Last episode I talked about reading issue number 3, and it was like meeting the Hulks on this island and everything, and then I was kind of like, oh well, I'm not really gonna keep reading this, right? And that was my plan. And then I was on Twitter or X and I saw a lot of posts about the maker, and it was like, read Ultimates number 4, this motherfucker gotta die. And I was like, what? Like, issue number 3 was about Hulks and ending with, Bruce Banner Hulk, and he was like, I'm gonna take out the Ultimates, and it was like, where is this coming from and why? Like, why does he need to die? What did he do? It got me intrigued. So I needed to check it out. And so I read it. It was a hell of an issue. I still don't know that I'm going to keep going if I'm being completely honest, but this was a great issue to read. Essentially, this was the first one that I read, so my memory on this isn't going to be great, but it's basically a story about the Maker and him torturing Reed and everything that Reed has been through to turn him into that universe's Doom. And meanwhile, he's having a conversation with Iron Lad, Tony Stark of that universe, and it's kind of like 3 different things going on at once. You're getting a conversation of him with Tony, and Tony's like, getting on him about this and this, and why is this not being done, or why, whatever, why haven't we progressed on this, blah, blah, blah. But then at the same time, you're getting like these flashbacks, 2 different flashbacks. One of Reed when he was dealing with the Maker, and the Maker torturing him and putting him through all this stuff to turn him eventually into Doom. Meanwhile, you're also getting throwbacks of him meeting the rest of what we know as the Fantastic Four. And their program getting shut down, and they decide, well, we're gonna go on our own, and they go up into space, and then they end up getting, I think they all died, basically. Yeah, they all pretty much died, is what I remember and took from that. And the Maker is just torturing Reed and putting him through this and telling him, like, you're gonna become Doom. And at one point he's like, no, I'm not. You made a mistake, that's not me. And he's like, no, I don't make mistakes. Like, yes, you are. And putting him through reliving all his failures, and just pure torture, to the point where it eventually, yes, like, face is just like disfigured and melted, stretched. It just effed up. And yeah, so he basically, that's what led him to being Doom. It's a much better issue to read than for me to tell you. It was really, really good. And then there's even it's him kind of current time-ish, studying and trying to take the effects that happen to all of them, but turn it into something. And so he's testing on mice, and you see this moment of a mouse that's invisible, a mouse that's on fire, a mouse that's stretching, a mouse that has like the thing built, rock makeup. And so like he's trying to make the Fantastic Four. So yeah, we'll see. It's interesting. Like I said, it's an issue that you're better off reading than me telling you, because I'm doing a terrible job at this. It was a great, great issue. Amazing storytelling. I see now why people are like, yo, the Maker is just messed up. So yeah. Let's continue on with the Ultimate Universe and get into Black Panther number 8. The last one left off with kind of, the Moon Knight, Warren Khonshu side going to war with Black Panther in Wakanda. And so this one kind of starts with that war. I don't know if I mentioned it, but I really love the artwork on this series too. I love how Black Panther looks. I love his costume and the artwork on it. And but yeah, so anyways, they're in this war, the two sides, the Moon Knight and Wakanda, and at a certain point, this big dude comes up behind him, and he's got like this sword, and he says something to Black Panther, and is like, you're gonna feel illumination, or you need to be illuminated or enlightened, or I don't remember, and he stabs him like through the thigh with this sword, and it basically like lights up, and then it kind of turns him, it transcends him into this dream state, and he's like going through all these different dream sequences, and eventually he wakes up. And when he wakes up, he sees Okoye, who is his wife in this series, and she's like, what, you're awake? And he's like, how long was I out? Last thing I remember is being on the battlefield and getting stabbed. And she says, well, you've been out for a week, about 7 days now. I'm trying to hold everything together. Your sister wants to like continue this war and go crazy on everybody. And he's telling her like, that he feels this sense of, he's trying to explain to her like what has happened to him and what he just experienced, and how it was illumination, and he feels awakened. And he's saying like he's telling her in this moment like he can feel vibranium, he can control vibranium in a sense. And she's like, I'm not understanding what you're getting at here. And he's saying like, we don't understand any of this, and they kind of do. They understand at least with the power that this has, meanwhile we don't, and that gives them an advantage. And he's like, okay, take the sword. I guess they still have the sword that he was stabbed with, and so he tells her like, pick up the sword. So she picks up the sword, and she's like holding it out like this, and he then goes like this, and they're standing on opposite sides of the room, and the sword flies to him, and then he grabs it. Like, he can control it. And I think he said something like, I asked it to come to me. And that was basically his way of telling her, like, this is what I'm talking about. Whatever this power is, this connection, this power, we didn't know of this, we don't have this, like, we need to learn about this. And so that was the update there. And then it kind of ends with Storm and Killmonger, and they're like beating the crap out of some guy. I don't know if we're supposed to know who it is, but they're beating the crap out of a guy. I thought maybe, is this like Claw or something? But I don't know. But they were beating the crap out of him, and they're telling him that they're looking for the Sorcerer Supreme, and he basically tells them, like, you know, fine, I'll tell you where he is, but you're gonna have to kill a lot of people to get to him. So we're gonna see where that leads us. I mean, if they're trying to get to him and they're gonna kill a bunch of people in order to get to him, is that gonna make them bad guys? Is that gonna kind of turn people against Wakanda? Like, where is that gonna lead? I don't know. I don't assume Doctor Strange is gonna be cool with them just killing a bunch of people to get to him. Assuming that it even is like the Doctor Strange that we're used to. So I don't know. We'll see. But I still am definitely enjoying Black Panther. So now let's move on to Daredevil. I don't have issue 13, which is the one that I read. So I will just show you issue 12. This is the one that I am reading, this series right here. Still is amazing. In this issue, he basically went up against Kingpin, and Kingpin was beating the crap out of him. He was possessed by greed, I think. Like just trying to take over like all of Hell's Kitchen or something like that. And anyways, it ended with him, like, Daredevil coming to terms with the fact that he can't, you know, half-ass his faith, so to speak. And he's able to defeat Kingpin, and then Kingpin at the end is like, you know, forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. Like, I'm seeking salvation from you. This issue kind of now is like he's struggling with that because he doesn't know what to do. Is this a trick? Elektra's telling him, like, no, this is a trick. He's like, I don't know, but I also can't give it to him. I'm not gonna do this. And so it's a very, like, interesting thing. He ends up, like, totally leaving. I'm gonna crack a Coke open. He is, like, leaves him while he's asking for help. I don't know if that's some if that's some ASMR coming through. Can't even drink right. But yeah, so he leaves Daredevil, and he's going to find. The other thing that happened in the last issue is another monster was chasing one of the kids who had ran away. Gets to the home that Matt and Father Javi were kind of running, and it ended with Father Javi like, you're not going to get these kids. The kids have escaped. He's like, you got to go up against me. So this one, the kids went and got help from a guy. The guy, finds Father Javi, and he's like basically beaten damn near to death. Daredevil comes in, and he's like, what happened? And him and the guy are going back and forth, and the kid is missing again because he's trying to make things right now. And he's like, I will take Father Javi to the hospital. You go find the kid. And it was a really good issue because, again, it's dealing with... I think it ended with he was not able to find the kid. And we don't really know the situation of Father Javi, which was pretty brutal in and of itself to see. Because Father Javi has been a great character so far. Like a good, like, side character, you know what I mean? Like, emotionally. And he's basically just, like, again, just this battle of Matt and his faith and, where he's supposed to land here, and is he, gonna fully embrace it or not? And what does that look like for him of fully embracing one way or another? And so it's just, I am really enjoying this series. I am enjoying the undertones. I'm enjoying the full, like, real battle of Matt and his faith, and, like, what, it's something that I think many of us can maybe relate to. And so he's really going through it while trying to be Daredevil at the same time and trying to protect these kids. He just has a lot going on, but it's really well done. And I'm also really liking the art. At certain times it looks amazing. I really like the shadows when Daredevil, like, busts through that door and sees Father Javi. Like, it's been a good series that I am enjoying for sure. But yeah, so that is this issue. I know it ends with him burning what looks to be like he's burning his I don't know what the outfit would be called, but his, he's Father Matt, right? Priest, like Father Matt, and he burns that outfit, his garbs, and so yeah, we're gonna see where this goes. But I again am still enjoying it, and what the heck is gonna happen to Kingpin also. And yeah, so let's get into from here. I basically took a detour down the X-Men path. I wanted to start reading all these new X-Men's before I fall too far behind. So I'm not gonna have time to get into all these different X-Men's. So I am basically just doing Uncanny X-Men and the regular X-Men series. So Uncanny X-Men, Gail Simone writing. This is issue 1. I read the first 2. That is where it is currently at. Here is one of the variants that I picked up for issue 1 by Kubert. I really, really love this one. I like Wolverine, Psylocke, the action of Gambit. I think all the characters are pretty well done. And I like this one. So, Beast flying over the top there. But yeah, so this has been good. I mean, honestly, both of the X-Men, I think. But we'll start with this one. So, issue number 1. Now, for the record, I did not read like the previous Krakoa era of X-Men. But, I understand that all that kind of fell. And now everybody's just kind of disbanded. Is basically what they set up here. And so we have Wolverine gets together with Gambit and Rogue. They all meet up. And they end up coming upon this snake. I am forgetting the name of the snake, but it's like a snake god. Giant, flying, like Rayquaza from Pokemon type shit. And so they end up fighting that, and it also has the Eye of Agamotto on it. And that's essentially kind of like what they're after. And so it's a really good fight. There's great dialogue between the three of them, but that fight is also really great. And it's also like narrated. Parts of it are narrated through Rogue. She's kind of, I would say, the main for the series. Like, she's struggling with whether she's going to lead a new X-Men team. And so she narrates it at times, and it's focusing on the three of them, and they're fighting, this snake god. And then eventually, Gambit is able to show off his ability by, they set it up to where he's able to get the eye from the snake, and then basically bargain with it of like, go to Antarctica for a year, leave us alone, and in a year we'll settle this or whatever. But it was a good moment, and it was like Wolverine was like, man, I can't believe you were able to do that. That was impressive. And so then they have that, and they go to it's kind of broken up into a few parts. So then after that, they get a call that they want to meet up with this boy who goes by the name of Harvey X. He's a huge fan of the X-Men, and he's dying, and they're kind of like they even make a comment of like, are we the Make-A-Wish type thing right now? And essentially kind of. And so they at one point the snake god kind of takes it entrances, I would say, Rogue, and is telling her about like, there's something coming, that the endling is coming for you all. And then they meet this boy, and he's like a huge fan of all of them, and blah blah blah, and he, it's a great moment. And then he touches Rogue, and then he kind of like starts going into a seizure, and he starts like talking, and he's saying this kind of basically the same thing, the endling is coming. And and so the kid ends up dying, and it's a very somber part of the issue. Then, and I think Rogue kind of, it definitely affects her. But I was going to say, I think, I can't remember if she's really realizing and stuck on the whole endling warning, but regardless, that's obviously the seed that is being planted for sure. And then there is also a lady by the name of Ellis, I believe. She's taking over the mansion, the Charles Xavier School, and she's turning it into a prison, and she is capturing mutants and holding them there. So that's kind of another thing that's happening outside of this. And there's a group that's hunting a mutant kid at one point of this. And so you're not really sure what's happening there. And but yeah, it's a very somber end to this issue. And then issue 2, these they go to this place that Remy takes them, and then these kids end up finding them, and they end up battling each other, those three versus these kids who all have their own sets of powers. And then Jubilee makes a return. She kind of gets everything squashed here, and then they start talking to the kids and like what's going on, and the kids are saying that they're being hunted by someone, and you basically end up finding you find out who it is. It's this character called the Hag, and it's a gnarly looking creature. Like if you imagine a tall, skinny, skin and bones, super long white hair, kind of like I got like the Freak from Spawn, but just much more skinnier. I mean, he is pretty damn skinny too, but it's like that type of character, just very creepy looking. I loved it, and that creature, along with its henchmen, are basically hunting these mutants and then bringing them to Ellis, the warden. And so that's kind of the update that we have there. And now you're gonna have Rogue trying to figure out what she's gonna do. Is this like her new team now with these kids, along with Wolverine and Gambit? And but the writing is amazing, man. Gail Simone, there's so many great moments between the characters. There's funny through it. There's badass moments. Like, it is great writing. I do recommend checking this out. I also like the artwork on it. So I mean, this is definitely I would definitely be checking this one out. And again, we're only 2 issues in, so it's a great jumping on point. So now I got like 8 minutes left to keep this under 30. Now we're going to get into X-Men series by, I think it's Jed McKay? I could be wrong, I'm sorry. And then Ryan Stegman on the art. I love this team. I love Cyclops. He is my favorite. So with this one having him in it and him being, back to being the leader, I am really enjoying that. This one was really, really good. This one has 3 issues in now. So issue 1, you have this lady, the police chief. So they have gone to a town in Alaska, and the police chief comes to meet them, and she meets Beast, and he's basically like giving her a tour of the facility and that they're staying at, and explaining to her like, oh, we're growing our own food, and blah blah blah. Cyclops is on a mission right now, and at one point he's like, oh, he's on a mission, and she goes, that sounds dangerous, and he says, oh, it is, but Scott Summers is the most gifted combat leader I've ever known, and I was an Avenger. And then it like cuts to Kid Omega telling him like, you're cuss word Summers, you've doomed us all essentially, and I never should have joined this team. And so it's great. And he's basically telling him like, calm the hell down, you're gonna be fine, let's kick some ass. And they do. And then I mean, you have Magic and Juggernaut. You have Tempered, who has like this power of kind of like a stormish, but it's more like she's controlling ice. I'm not familiar with her, but obviously you can see like right here, she's controlling ice in this moment, and she's pretty awesome. But I guess fire too. So yeah, so she's got both Magic, then the Kid Omega, who I just said, he's like an Omega level with psychic powers. Psylocke, Magneto, Beast, which Magneto I honestly did not... Is he on the cover? He's not on the cover, and so I honestly did not know that he was in this yet. And, spoiler alert. But yeah, so anyways, so then Cyclops is leading the team on attacking, infiltrating this facility, because they are going after some... They got 6 pings for New Mutants, and so they're going after to find them. At the same time, Beast is meeting with the police chief, and then, she's like explaining to him like, look, people in town are a little worried here about you guys being here. You guys taking over this facility shut it down. There's job loss, like they're really concerned, and you learn that Beast is like, okay, let's be real here. This facility we've taken over is a Sentinel facility. You guys were building Sentinels that kill my people, so let's like relax here on, I'm sorry that your people are out of jobs, but you guys were freaking building something for us. As they're rescuing the kids, these guys are also torturing Wolverine, and obviously that's an homage right there. That was freaking awesome. And anyways, they find the 6 kids. The 6 kids are not kids, they're actually adults, which doesn't make sense because, they're not supposed to get mutant powers as adults, and they end up having to fight these guys, and they end up having to take them out. And then you also have Magneto showing up, and he's just your typical badass Magneto. The way he talks, the way he threatens, the way he intimidates. Great action throughout this issue. And then, yeah, they end up having to take out those 6 kids, or 6 adults, I'm sorry. And then they have to figure out, they take the hand of one of them, because I think Magic cut it off. And so they're like, look, we need to test this. We need to figure out, like, how is this happening? And so then in the second issue, they go to San Francisco because there is an alien invasion occurring. Meanwhile, they have got another ping from another new mutant. And so they land, they start attacking, or, they start fighting this alien invasion going on. It's very, like, Matrix-y is kind of, with all these things flying around. And come to find out that the kid that they are coming to save is another adult who just got his power, and his power is basically to, like, warp reality. This alien invasion isn't real. Like, that's his power, is to make it appear that this alien invasion is occurring. And so they finally are able to find that out. They find the guy, and then you're led to believe that he basically kills himself. Like, he's like, no, like, you're not going to take me away on your spaceship. That's how I ended up like this in the first place. And he's like, you're not going to take me. And he leaves. I'm sorry, he doesn't leave. He blows himself up. And then what you find out is that they actually, like, covered it up, and using, I don't know if it was a combination of his powers, Psylocke's, Magic, everybody's powers, they made it look like he killed himself. But in reality, they were able to take him away onto their ship and just make it look like he's been dead. And so they now have him at their headquarters. And then issue 3 is now the team, or a team now. There's multiple things going on here. It's like a team attacks their headquarters, goes after them because they're trying to destroy Cerebro, and then they end up sneaking in because they go invisible, and they have, like, a psi block, so they can't, like, read their minds or anything. Then by the time they realize that this team has infiltrated them, the whole team starts fighting them, and it's some really good fights with some really great moments. I gotta wrap this up. And meanwhile, Cyclops he's out at a diner talking to one at, like, a agent who's running the One program, I think, for the government. And it's Cyclops at one of his best, just being a total badass and telling this guy, like, no, like, I will. He's threatening him, like, telling him, I will F you up if I have to. I don't care. Because the guy's basically telling him, like, hey, we heard about this whole San Francisco thing. You guys were supposed to stay here. And he's like, no, we're not going to stay here. That's what you thought. I don't deal in those kind of, I don't deal in that. This is what I'm going to do, and you're going to deal with it. Otherwise, you're going to deal with us. And you don't want that. You want me leading this team. Because otherwise, these people are going to go ape shit. I didn't want to cuss, but... And, it's just a lot of badass moments, man. He, tells the guy... He's yelling at the guy, then the guy's like, it's any typical asshole agent that you've ever seen in any movie or show. They think they're the top dog, the shiznit, and then Cyclops basically has to put him in his place, like, no, I am, and it's just a great moment of, like, don't mess with us, and if I have to, I'll call my wife, like, you don't want this, you really don't want this. And it is just, again, I read all these series, but definitely X-Men, both of them, great starting points. Again, we're 2 issues in and 3 issues in. You can catch up super fast. They're both really good. I think they're both being written very good. Plus the art's hella good. It's just, I'm really enjoying both of these. I'm loving Cyclops leading this team. I'm loving how the treatment that Cyclops is getting, especially coming off X-Men 97, like, he is just, it's a great time. It's a great time for Cyclops right now. And meanwhile, the Uncanny one, Gail Simone is knocking it out the park with her writing and her story. There's a lot going on in that series. So that's pretty much gonna do it for me. I gotta close this up, but yeah, check out all these series. Let me know your thoughts below. What are you reading? What do I need to read? And I'm out, man. Comic Raider. Deuces.